To get that scholarship. We're all gonna go somewhere if we put in the work and we go to school and do the right thing. But we gotta make freshmen better. We gotta make that junior or that senior who's chilling. Well, I don't have it off. Well, get up. So you don't get drafted.
Now that was when I talk about being tough, that was the toughest. That was the toughest point in my life because I had did everything I was supposed to. Over 2,000 yards in college, 22 touchdowns, over 150 catches in 2 years. I ran a 4.3 in the 40, 40-inch vertical. I did 225 16 times, 3.9 shuttle. Every number that you're supposed to hit, I hit it. And in the 2 years that I played, the same time Marcus played, I had more receiving yards, more touchdowns, more catches. So I expected that once I put all the work in, everything else would fall into place. That's when I learned about the business of football and not the sport of football. So I'll give you an example. Marcus is, like I said, 6'5", 230. He got invited to the combine. I didn't get invited to the combine. He got invited to the East-West Shrine game. I didn't get invited. He damn near won MVP of the East-West Shrine game. Ran a 4.5 at the combine. He was projected to go in the second round of the draft. But that was the first year in 7 years that the NFL didn't take a receiver in the first round. He dropped all the way down to almost Mr. Irrelevant and almost didn't get drafted. So where you think that pushed me? Non-existent. At this point, it was like if we could get a Marcus Colston in the 7th round, we get DEVALE Ellis whenever. So I had a chip on my shoulder, bigger than the chip I had in high school. I just wanted to prove to people that I belonged in the NFL. So I ended up walking on to the Lions pretty much because that was the only team, that and the Jets, who gave me an opportunity to come to rookie minicamp. So I looked at their roster. They had Roy Williams, first-round pick, Mike Williams, first-round pick, Charles Rogers, first-round pick, Eddie Drummond just won the Pro Bowl as a returner, Mike Furry. They was loaded at the receiver position, but I said, you know what? If this is the only shot I get, I'm going to have to make it work. I go into camp, I bust my ass, I beat my body up, and ultimately I ended up making the team, which was crazy because they're like, dang, you beat out 2 first-round picks to make the team. That's unreal. Like, you should be playing. You'll realize the business of football, it's not so much about the best person playing at the best time. People have obligations. Mike Williams, $12 million contract. People want to see him play. The GM has to prove that, you know, he either can play or he can't. The only way he's going to get that opportunity is if he gets a lot more leash than I get. Yes. So DEVALE runs out. DEVALE runs the wrong play. DEVALE's out of the game. Mike Williams can run out, drop 5 passes, he's still going to be in the game. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's for every first-round pick. And not for nothing, as a businessman, I get it. When I was going through the process, I didn't understand it. It didn't seem like it was fair. But you got to think about it. You invest millions of dollars in a product. Are you going to just discard the product if it don't work out? For somebody you're not paying? No. You're gonna have to see this investment all the way through. That's something that I couldn't understand when I was going through the process. I became stressed. My body was beat up, and this is something I talk about now, but I didn't talk about when I was going through it. But I became addicted to pain medication because being a 150, 160-pound receiver that makes a team playing special teams, your body gets beat up. You're running down, busting a wedge. This is when they still had the wedge. I was busting a wedge. I was running down, tackling people, and not only doing that during games, I had to do that during a week of practice. So I used to wake up in the morning, take 4 Tylenol just to wake up in the morning, go through meetings, take 4 Tylenol before practice just to numb my body, take 4 Tylenol after practice, and then I would take 2 Oxycontin to go to sleep at night because I couldn't sleep. I would have the jitters. I don't know, it was stress related. It was also just all the pain medication. So that became my normal routine. And that started in my rookie year of the NFL. And it was only 1 year. You know, it was stressful. And people say, you know, did you enjoy the NFL? I thank God every day for everything the NFL gave me. It gave me a nest egg to feed my family. It gave me a nest egg to start my business. My network that I was able to build while I was there meeting people in high positions, the stuff I was able to learn about wealth management, I learned while I was in the NFL. But being a free agent tryout and being a smaller guy, because it's a gladiator sport, it was just taxing on my body and my mind. That's part of the reason why I retired so early.
It's great to even be able to talk to you now because, you know, a lot of people don't get through, you know, addiction like that. But, you know, let's get into, you know, the prototype. You know, so you retire and now you ready. You market and you start this business. And what is the prototype?
That's the goal. Got to be a bull every time you work in it. You got to be a beast. Make sure your beast mode is on, and you always got to pay it forward. So, for example, you're a prototype kid. You got to pay it forward. You end up going to play Division I football. You make it to the NFL. You become a big sports analyst. So when you tell all our kids, you got to pay it forward. You never owe Coach Brian. You never owe Coach anybody else. You owe whoever's forward. Like Cam, for example. Cam was he was one of the first kids that ever came. Actually, this is like the perfect example of a prototype. Cam was at Boys and Girls when I met him. We were in the park at Gershwin. I met him. He was a senior, and he was like, "Yo, Coach D, I got good grades. I'm trying to figure out how to get into college." So how were you academically? You got like an 86 average, good SAT score, but he didn't know what he was doing with school. He ended up going to CW Post. He trained the entire time. He stopped playing football at Post. I trained the first pro day, which he did real well, ran a 4.4, got a couple looks from some NFL scouts. He's still trying to play football now, but he's focusing on the second part of his life too. So he's been in a mentorship program at 272, where we send our athletes into the elementary school, and they're like deans for the elementary school. So he was able to make some money there while he focused on finishing his master's. So he's finishing his master's degree. He took his test to be a corrections officer, and he's still training to play football. So it's almost like a kid like him, he's full circle. He was able to do all of that stuff while make some money, and still, all I tell him is pay it forward. He don't ever owe me, but you're going to work at that mentorship program, and he's with those kids, 6 hours every day, Monday through Friday? That's the way he pays it forward. So that's our whole motto here, is just pay it forward. Do you have your book? Right there. Don't say nobody told you. Before you walk, so if you about to come in here and you look up, I don't got my book, let me go get my book. Because once you walk in the door, you don't got your book. Now you mine.
Well, the prototype actually started by accident. I was coaching at Poly Prep. It's funny, I was coaching at Poly Prep. When I first retired, I was looking for something to do, just to get my foot back into the city a little bit, because I wanted to get into TV film. I put my paperwork in and stuff at MSG Varsity after meeting Jared Greenberg, but I wanted something football-wise still to do. So Coach Dino at Poly Prep, offered me an opportunity to coach there. So my brother just retired from playing football at UMass. We start coaching at Poly Prep, and I just realized that there were so many things around, the city that weren't being done to help football players. So I said, you know what? I don't really want to coach at a team, because coaching at a football team takes a lot of your time. I spent hours in the morning and at night looking at film, breaking down film. And I said, man, this is only going to go towards these 30 kids. But I wanted to kind of put my hands on, thousands of kids. I felt like the city can learn so much that I had to offer. So I was at Jefferson Park, and there were 10 kids from Jefferson who said, yo, you DeVale, yo, we saw you on YouTube, can you help us get faster? So I started teaching them some techniques about how to cheat the 40, how to do different drills just to run faster. Even if you're not faster, proper stance and start, leaning at the line. So they started going to camps and started to get some success. So then I started asking them questions. I said, what's your SAT score? Never took the SAT. How are you academically? Oh, I'm good. What's good? About a 72. That's not good.
Right. That's PSAL.
Yeah, that's PSAL good, 72. So then they say to me, well, yo, can you help me get into college? I said, well, what year are you in? Oh, I'm a senior. You're a senior, it's March. You have a 72 average, you didn't take the SAT, and you want me to help you get into college. That's when I realized that there was a bigger issue here than just being fast. So my aunt, who was, she worked at Nazareth, she still works now, she's the assistant principal, Ms. Fisher. I asked her about, you know, how do they get their athletes ready and stuff like that. And she came up with the idea and said, yo, you should start a mentorship program where you can teach the kids how to become a student athlete even before they get into high school. And that's where Prototype started. I started from the youth organizations, because at that point I said in the high school, it's too late if I start at high school. So I started all the way back at the youth organizations. I went and spoke at Hurricanes banquets. You know who those guys are? Do you know those guys? Just a little bit. I spoke to them. I spoke at the Renegades banquet. I spoke at the Chiefs banquet. And there was one kid who was from your uncle, and your pops actually spoke to him. His mom's, his name is Ramel Ashby. His mom's was like, you know, I'm thinking about sending my son to, you know, offense-defense camp. You know, he's 11. So then they were just like, yo, you gonna send him, spend $800, send him to offense-defense camp. Why don't you just send him to DEVALE? He can go work out with DEVALE and DEVALE. So then she was like, who's DEVALE? They told her about the program. Ramel worked with me for a whole summer. The following year, he had 33 touchdowns. He was an MVP. Then all the Renegades came. And after all the Renegades came, all of the Chiefs came. Then I started working at the Parisi Speed School. I got some more Hurricanes, and then the Elite Prototype brand started to build. And then when it started to build, it came time for me to focus on the academic. So now, yeah, the speed stuff, and this is what I try to explain to people. You tell a kid, hey, I'm gonna help you with your SAT scores, you're never gonna see them ever again. You tell a kid I can make you faster, I can make you stronger, they'll start to buy into the program. Once they're into the program from 11, 12, 13, 14, now I'm in here. Now you're gonna listen to what I'm saying because I've already proved I can make you faster. But now you're 14, you're a freshman, you need to get your grades above 80. You need to take the SAT as a sophomore. You need to take your ACT. They've already bought into the program, so now academically they're doing what they gotta do to maintain. And this year was the first year we've had our first crop of elite prototype athletes who we've had from youth graduate. And I'm proud of these guys, man. All of my kids that we started with graduated with over an 80 average. Majority of them over 1,000 at SAT. And I say about 90% of them are going to college on either a football or academic scholarship, which to me is the most important, because everybody's not gonna play football.